Don Lemon has been arrested. That's right. Journalist Don Lemon, who stormed that church with the protesters, who went in, who got in the face of that pastor, has now been arrested. This happened last night in his hotel around 11 o'clock last night, I believe, in Los Angeles, as he was preparing for the Grammy Awards, which are this weekend. Opens up a whole host of questions.
He is being charged with conspiracy to deprive rights and violation of the FACE Act. And interfering by force of someone's First Amendment rights. So these are the charges, according to a Justice Department spokesperson telling the LA Times.
I think this is absolutely what he wanted to happen. Could you imagine a grander scale for it to happen also in your Los Angeles hotel, the weekend of the Grammys that you're there to cover, and they're there arresting a journalist? Now, look, did he get in the face of that pastor? Absolutely. Do I think really what he said was egregious and so fundamentally wrong and misunderstanding how the First Amendment works? Absolutely. Like I said, I think he was a talking head who was pretty good at reading a teleprompter and now is given a situation where he's not. Did he go after those people and said, look at the traumatized children out there, but that is why protesters are doing this? Essentially, he said that. He wants that to happen. He wanted this disruption of the church service to happen. So I'm sure that opens the door to what the legality is. Now, do I think it's a slippery slope also when you start going after journalists? I do, because I can see where the shoe is on the other foot. And all of a sudden we are talking about the loads more of independent, conservative-leaning journalists.
What is interesting here is that, remember, they went to a federal magistrate judge in Minnesota a couple weeks back, and he was not giving them an arrest warrant to sign off on to arrest him. They appealed that decision in a kind of an unusual move to the actual district court judge and the chief judge of that, and who said, basically, if you want to do this, we're not going to overturn the magistrate judge. Go impanel a grand jury. That appears to be what has happened. They impaneled a grand jury and were able to get an indictment against Don Lemon through that process.
I think what he did was disgusting. I think what he did is abhorrent. Do I think what he did was federally illegal? I don't know. I think that that's a gray area that we should at least be open to having the conversation about. I want you to flashback here. So let's go back to that interaction between Don Lemon and the pastor in the middle of the chaos that had broken out in the church.
And we were interrupted by this group of protesters. Yeah. We asked them to leave, and they obviously have not left. So.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here.
In that bite, the pastor is trying to get away and he's saying, I need to go take care of my congregation, and Don Lemon won't let him go. And he's trying to give hand signals like, I need to go. And Don Lemon goes, please don't push me. Already, he is trying to keep the pastor there, which is interfering with the worship service.
Sure, I can see that.
He is actively engaged in. It's not like he's in the corner filming it unfold. And if he had just gone in and filmed, there probably is less of a case against him than what I see here. And I want to play this follow-up bite as well, because I think this also is where Don Lemon goes from being someone who is reporting to someone who is participating in and continuing it. Yeah. Because this is bite 3, and this is an important bite, still continuing. After the pastor has said, I need to go take care of them, Don Lemon is still continuing to pepper him with questions. He's trying to be respectful, the pastor. But let's roll bite 3.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So that's one of the pastors of the church.
So that bite there, the pastor directly asks him, I would ask that you would leave unless you are here to worship. And Don Lemon has a cute response of, I'm always worshiping. I'm a Christian. Yeah. No, you're not. You're not there to worship. You're not there to participate in the worship service. But Don Lemon doesn't leave. He continues to go and push his microphone in the faces of other congregants. He's there for 7 more minutes inside the building and then decides to go outside. And then we have that famous look. Oh, the kid is clearly, upset, is upsetting and traumatizing, which is the point. He is there as an activist. And yes, he may be documenting it, but he is, it's not just someone there documenting without a purpose and not engaged in. He is engaged in it the entire time. He does not leave when asked to respectfully by the pastor. It is not as if it was outside in an open area and someone said, leave our protest. It's like, well, no, I'm not going to. This is a continued disruption of the service that the pastor is trying to get under control and trying to ask people to leave. And the journalist here is refusing to also do so.
I don't agree with anything Don Lemon did in this. I don't agree with really anything Don Lemon has ever done or will probably ever do. I didn't think he did a good job at CNN. I think he had a lot of personal issues at CNN that obviously came up. And then I think he has done a poor job of keeping himself relevant. I think about the interview he did with Elon Musk and how inappropriate I thought that was. Now, again, I have to, though, think critically and think legally and start thinking about what the ramifications are when there is a Democrat in the White House. And that is surely to happen in our lifetime. I mean, let's just look. The pendulum moves. It has our entire lives. It goes back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. And who has been the ones who have been censored the most over the last few years? It has been those on the right. And I do always have that tinge of going, but what if? I think what he did was wrong. I think what he did is disgusting. I don't like him at all. I don't like what he had to say. But there is a concern that I personally have, even though you said, yes, he's engaging. And I agree, he's engaging. I think he's completely inappropriate and off base, even as a journalist. Do I believe he's committing a federal crime? That is where the line I am not so sure on.
But I think, once again, when you see him talking to the pastor in that way, not letting him go, when he's saying, I need to go take care of my congregation, it puts him in a different role from reporting to actually engaging in the activity of interfering with the worship service.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point. I think it's blurry. We have a comment come and said, come on, Logan, a conservative reporter if they went into a leftist religious service, they'd be dragged off and jailed. That's probably correct. And I don't know, though, that that's good. That's not necessarily what we want. Now, do I think that if they went in and they were protesting and making a scene themselves that they should be? Yeah, probably. But if they were going in as just a reporter and they were just asking questions, I don't want that to be what happens, because I do believe in a very broad version of journalistic freedom. With that, we'll continue the conversation. People are saying, that it's because of the ice storm that it hit my head and things have happened. You know what? Maybe you're right. I'm not on here defending Don Lemon. I'll say that ad nauseum. I'm here discussing the ramifications of limiting the freedom that journalists have.